Hey everyone, and welcome back to Scandalous Media. It's Alana here, and as promised, here's the awaited part 2 for the Blake Lively saga, Mean Girl Edition. This video won't focus exclusively on Blake's mean girl moments. Instead, we'll take a deep dive into her slightly problematic relationship with Ryan Reynolds. Along the way, we'll share some insider insights, highlight her more controversial moments, and discuss our perspectives, as well as those of others, on whether Blake can bounce back from such a public downfall. We won't be talking too much about Blake and the It Ends With Us drama, as we have already made a video discussing the issue with Blake and her It Ends With Us co-star Justin Baldoni, so go check it out. Let me know your thoughts down below, feel free to give us your opinion on this whole thing, make sure to like and subscribe for more, and go ahead and check out our merch to rock some cool designs by yours truly. And without further ado, let's start. Gossip Girl. Gossip Girl is an iconic teen television show that's still being talked about to this day. It resurfaces every autumn, and there's even a whole aesthetic out there for it, and it put many names that we know now on the map. The show follows a group of upper-class students in Manhattan's Upper East Side whose private and social lives are exposed by the unidentified blogger Gossip Girl. Funny enough, since the start of this blog and channel, I have always been described as Gossip Girl by readers and other people who went on our site and channel. And the intro to this channel pays homage to the intro/idea of the show. The show was a massive hit, captivating audiences with its engaging storyline centered around the scandalous lives of the privileged. However, alongside its success, rumors swirled about a feud between the two main stars, Blair Waldorf and Serena van der Woodsen, portrayed by Leighton Meester and Blake Lively. Fans of the show already knew there were some issues with Blake and Leighton, and for majority of the time, it was denied that there was ever an issue. But it was confirmed on the 10th anniversary of the show when executive producer Joshua Safran told Vanity Fair in August 2017, Blake and Leighton were not friends. They were friendly, but they were no friends like Serena and Blair. He continues to go on and say that there weren't any major conflicts between the actresses and that they're just two different people. He continues saying, Blake is very much in the moment. Blake knows what's happening. You talk to Blake on a very contemporary level and she would be like, I'm doing this thing tonight. Have you been to this restaurant? Joshua then claimed that Leighton was more removed and very quiet. After her scenes were done, she would wander the stage. What he's implying is that Blake was more outgoing and Leighton was more of an introvert. If we go back a few years, 2008 to be exact, there were some rumors that suggested their relationship wasn't as nonchalant as Joshua recalled. In a 2008 article, New York Magazine reported that both Blake and Leighton were said to avoid each other like the plague on set, and that their castmates felt like they had to choose sides at the time. If this is true, which it could be because the magazine is reporting on a time when the show was fairly new and was still being filmed, they probably got the real scoop on what was going on at the time instead of looking back and seeing the situation with rose-colored glasses. When the writers' strike forced Gossip Girl off the air in January 2008, fans and reporters turned their attention to the actors of the show. In the article, the reporters that were invited on set casually throw in that Blake and Leighton avoided each other like the plague, while other castmates like Penn Badgley, Chase Crawford, and Ed Westwick got along well, with Chase and Ed being roommates. Even though the executive producer told Vanity Fair in 2017 that Blake is more outgoing and Leighton is very quiet, in this 2008 article, the opposite is actually being said. The reporters say that Blake doesn't go out much, and when she does, it's not with her castmates, it's with her stylists. She was more reserved about saying publicly which restaurant she likes to go to or which neighborhood she lives in. She told the reporter, I like the downtown region. The reporter asks, like Soho? And she goes, gee, I don't know, with a smile. On the other hand, Leighton was very bubbly and talkative with the reporters, pointing out to them exactly which building she lives in and how she talks like a sailor. When asking Leighton about the rumors of her feud with Blake, she is quick to deny it, saying that they always say the girls don't get along, but never the guys. The reports at the time were saying that Blake was annoyed because she is the star of the show, yet Leighton's character has gained a heavy amount of favoritism, knocking Blake off a pedestal. I believe it 1000%, Blair's villain you want to root for character is arguably the most sophisticated performance on the show. The magazine continued saying that there was an edge with Blake when she sat down with the reporters. They said that she does give off star of the show vibes as she is not to be photographed without her makeup, and that they overheard a production assistant saying, Blake is not laid back. Funny that this kind of coincides with Blake 15 years later on set for It Ends With Us. You know, that movie that made more noise about the lead's cast feud rather than the actual storyline. They sit with Blake and she's cheerful, but there's a harsh edge to her. Her personality is very blunt. And I have to say that bluntness isn't necessarily rude, but if done incorrectly, it is 100% rude and distasteful. Unfortunately for Blake, her bluntness can easily be seen as rude and condescending, and you can see that right here. Blake sits with them and talks about her career. She tells them, "The people I look up to do very serious character roles." And I'm sorry, but I'm holding in a laugh thinking about how serious Blake was about her acting career in 2008 when I've seen her movies and her acting is still giving Serena van der Woodsen from Gossip Girl. She's sitting in her chair super excited because she signed on for a Rebecca Miller directed ensemble film with Robin Wright Penn. She says, "It's a really incredible cast." She also talks about her kissing scene with Alan Arkin, and she says, "He's a bit of an upgrade from Chase and Penn, so I'm looking forward to that." It was so random and harsh that the reporters themselves wrote, "Harsh, considering that Penn is supposed to be her real-life boyfriend, but Blake doesn't want to talk about that." Imagine sitting in a chair in front of a reporter and saying you're excited because you have a kissing scene with another actor who you think is an upgrade from your boyfriend and friend. Nothing about that was funny or even jokey, it was just downright rude and strange. After they ask her about Penn Badgley, she says to them, "I thought this was New York Magazine," she says with a bright smile. "I thought you were supposed to be classy." She was kind of giving condescending and proud vibes, so I got a little laugh when the response the reporters gave back to her in the article was, "Guess the question about the nose job is off the table." There wasn't any more said about their on-screen beef, but when the It Ends With Us drama started in August 2024, and Blake was being crowned Mean Girl of the Year, people started to dig into her past and social media found a lengthy amount of unfriendly, rude, and annoying jokes Blake made to the Gossip Girl cast, and more especially to Leighton Meester. In one interview here, she made a joke, calling her castmates monkeys. Now after reading what she said about upgrading from kissing Chase and Penn to now calling her castmates monkeys, I'm starting to see a pattern here formulating. Most people took Blake's comments about our co-stars being monkeys harshly, especially because Blake was rumored to not have that great of a relationship with Leighton, and by looking to her side where her castmates were and saying she was acting with monkeys, it seems to have been in very poor taste.
You part of the show, but I can't act with a monkey. And then I got a few of them.
She got a few of them.
Come on, it was a joke.
Her castmates didn't even look impressed by her attempt at a joke, which she quickly kept defending because she made things really awkward.
Come on, it was a joke.
Some people argue that Blake was just joking, and if you joked with a close friend, you'd also say something that sounded mean but wasn't. And to that, I say, we already established that Blake wasn't super close to Leighton, and I feel like if you're not that close to your main cast, you should avoid making extremely unprofessional and rude comments. If you have to say, "Come on, it was just a joke,"
Come on, it was a joke.
then clearly it wasn't a very good joke. Another moment caught on camera from the same interview was when Leighton talked about how the show depicts the idea that there aren't good or evil characters, everyone has their good and bad moments. Leighton says she's just brunette because of the books, and tell me how Blake cuts her off, pulls the move we all know too well now, and jumps in to make a dumb joke that leaves a castmate next to her wishing she would just stop talking so much.
I think I'm just brunette because of the books.
And everyone knows blondes are nicer anyway.
And when she says everyone knows blondes are nicer anyway, look at the face she makes. It's very childish, an immature, "Oop, did I just do something bad" look, which causes everyone to stay silent. It's so painfully awkward that Blake says, "Awkward moment by me," to try and ease the tension.
Awkward moment by me.
I think her going out of her way, as well as to make a weird immature joke in the middle of someone's response, tugs on the rumors of their feud because it shows that Blake cannot stand not to be the center of attention, and her so-called harmless joke is aiding in the fact that viewers picked which girl they liked best, Serena the fun blonde, or Blair the sassy and successful brunette. So I do think her comment of, "and we all know blondes are nicer," is to tell people, look, you all like Serena better than Blair, right? Because at the time there was a discussion if you were a Serena type of girl or a Blair type of girl. And with Blake being worried about Leighton stealing the star of the show pedestal, I can see her ego getting to the best of her in this interview. The funniest part about this whole thing is that Leighton is the real blonde, Blake is not. Another moment caught on camera was Blake trying to manhandle everyone on the red carpet, and her castmates, especially Leighton, giving her a very annoyed look in return. She's just very bossy, controlling, and all over the place. It's almost as if she doesn't know her place. It's exactly what the production assistant once said about her. Blake is not laid back. It's kind of crazy how the downfall of Blake was all the things she had been doing in the past. You know, answering questions extremely obnoxiously,
A location share? Oh, I could just location share you.
joking in a rude and unprofessional manner,
Can't act with a monkey. And then I got a few of them.
being too involved,
Well, I'm not the type of actor who can act without producing, you know, like.
very bossy, I mean, clearly she didn't change much if we can see those same character traits 10 or 15 years ago. It seems to me Blake had so many yes men around her and nobody really told her, hey, you're not funny or cool. On this red carpet moment, she's friendly, but all over the place, taking charge and pushing everyone to go this way or that way. Layton is just looking super annoyed as she gets pushed by Blake as if she's her handler. Penn stands in between Blake and Layton, and then you hear Blake saying, let's go this way, manhandling everyone as Layton gives her a touch me one more time annoyed look. The cast doesn't look super annoyed at Blake. I mean, it's not even 5 seconds later before they're all laughing and looking around, so I don't want to take this video too out of context, but I believe Blake's entire persona of being your face, bossing you on where to go, making jokes only she finds funny is the issue people have with her. She's not likable to work with and she's too hands-on. Literally hands-on. She will put her hands on you to direct you where to go and how to go about it. It's like what I said about Blake in my last video, she doesn't have the credentials to be acting this way, and it seems very ego-driven, and it's why she comes off obnoxious.
Well, I'm not the type of actor who can act without producing.
Those were the main issues in the Gossip Girl era. The cast seems to be friendly with each other, and they have all recalled good and hard moments coming from the Gossip Girl era and franchise. Blake and Layton weren't exactly friends, but there wasn't any more that came out from those rumors, at least publicly. They both never talk about each other now and don't follow each other on Instagram, even though they follow other former castmates. Blake is a nepo-baby. One thing that definitely could aid in Blake's self-absorbed personality is the fact that she is a nepo-baby. Ever since the hate from It Ends With Us, when people started looking back into Blake's past actions, they couldn't help but notice how spoiled she came off, and it comes with a reason. Blake has a privileged background with a family of entertainers. Her parents Ernie and Elaine Lively are a crucial part in kickstarting her successful acting career and have used their connections to help her get her foot in the door. Her dad Ernie, who passed away in 2021, starred alongside Blake in her breakout role in The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Blake played his daughter in both films. Ernie has starred in films like Passenger 57, The Dukes of Hazzard, and Turner and Hooch. He's had about a 50-year career in the industry and even dabbled in directing and producing. Blake's mother Elaine did a bit of acting and worked as a talent manager, so it's safe to say that Blake had her connections cut out for her. Blake said in a 2006 interview that she had grown up on sets because her mother was a manager and always had kids coming in for coaching. Acting wasn't something she was hell-bent on. She recalled looking at acting and thinking it used to look like a nightmare. Her other siblings have been in movies and TV shows as well, but Blake is the most famous of them. Blake credits her brother for getting her into acting, saying that he told her she needed to be more cultured and took her around Europe for 2 months before asking her, "What are you doing with your life?" He predicted she would become an actress, which isn't that bold of a prediction seeing as the rest of the family acted, and he had his agent sending her on auditions. 3 years later, she landed the role of Gossip Girl. So that was a quite comfy start for Blake. Your mom is a talent manager, your siblings are actors, your dad is an actor, and you land a lead on a huge show by your early 20s. I believe that Blake's acquired personality comes from the fact that she grew up very privileged and spoiled, not to mention she is the youngest of her siblings, and it can explain why when she had mainstream attention, she ruined it with her actions, because suddenly what worked for you 10 years ago isn't working for you now. There's also a cultural shift with celebrity and social media. What people could get away with 10-15 years ago, they can't get away with now. Social media is too fast, and that's why when Blake was going through her hate train, it was easy to add more examples because social media has allowed us to spread information faster than the celebrity teams trying to kill the story. Blake Lively's personality. Let me share my perspective on how Blake's personality, which once worked in her favor, has now contributed to her downfall. This opinion is based on my observations from social media over the past 8 years regarding this topic. What I find funny is that a good chunk of Blake's mean girl moments come from the same personality that was once praised. Let me cook here for a second. There was a time on social media when having a personality and being bold was widely applauded. I want to say it was somewhere between 2013 to 2017, the rise of social media platforms gave celebrities a platform to showcase some humor. It must have been a trend, but celebrities were going viral for funny moments, and you had people like Jennifer Lawrence running the relatable, bold, funny girl movement.
I took a shower and I don't know what that's what I did, and then I got my hair and makeup done.
Jennifer Lawrence, no hard feelings.
Funny moments from your fave celebrity were such a huge moment for social media, especially with apps like Vine aiding in the social media humor train. This was initially when Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively got crowned as hilarious it couple and gained a huge chunk of popularity because they would troll each other on social media, crop out each other's faces from birthday posts, make funny comments about the other, comment silly things under each other's posts, and social media was eating it up every time. That being said, Blake's personality and mean girl moments have actually come back to haunt her because we started to see that she jokes at the expense of others. It's funny when it's her husband because that's her husband, but it's not funny when it happens to interviewers or other castmates. This is in no way, shape, or form excusing Blake's mean girl moments, it's giving you guys a full picture of why she took on the It Ends With Us promo in such a silly and jokey light which horribly backfired. Blake wasn't used to getting criticized for the same things people once found funny. And that's why her little, we can location share.
Oh, I could just location share you.
Look at my bedazzled cup.
How cute my cup is.
Whoops, sorry for being late. I lost my mom.
I'm late because I lost my mom.
Jokes all backfired. She underestimated how people would react to her unprofessionalism and to her response on heavy topics. She took a serious topic and thought she could slap on some of that silly personality that eventually aged badly because there's a difference between being jokey with your partner and then just being downright offensive to other people. Once Ryan Reynolds was out of the frame of Blake's jokes, she would joke at the expense of others. So that's why there's so many examples, and it seemed like she wouldn't stop talking either, no matter how much she was aiding in her downfall. It was like weird word vomit, and she didn't seem to notice how egotistical and obnoxious she came off until the internet had enough of it. I even started to see some opinions of others on social media saying that no one saw the hype with Blake and how she tries to act like her husband Ryan because he knows how to do that type of humor, whereas Blake comes off mean, rude, entitled, and egotistical. There are a lot of examples of her weirdly behaving entitled and offended when someone tries to talk to her about a completely normal topic. She mentioned in an interview before that she improvises a lot of her daily conversations, which could explain why she says weird things in interviews without thinking. People also brought to my attention that this is something Ryan is known to do, which is improvising jokes and having a conversation without it being scripted, and I guess it rubbed off on Blake, but like we said before, Blake comes from a very privileged background where she was probably never told, "Hey, you're annoying." Recently, some people have started to take issue with Ryan Reynolds and his personality. One person online noted that watching his interviews often feels like a performance, making it difficult to see him as vulnerable or authentic. His quick wit can sometimes come off as formulaic, leading to people believing that his charm has become stale. This criticism even extended to his film Deadpool, where people started to get tired with his predictable humor. Blake's mean girl moments. The 2016 interview done by Kirsty Flaw with Blake and her co-star Parker Posey for Cafe Society is possibly the worst thing you'll see today in this video. Everything about the way Blake and Parker acted was absolutely horrendous and disgusting. Media outlets wanted to call it an uncomfortable interview, but that isn't a word I'd use to describe their behavior. It wasn't uncomfortable, it was condescending and rude. The interviewer posted the video and titled it, "The Blake Lively Interview That Made Me Want to Quit My Job." And you know with a title like that, it's gonna be bad. The video starts off with the interviewer congratulating Blake on her pregnancy, which was public news. She says, "Congratulations on your little bump," and Blake, for some unforeseen reason, got offended and said, "Congratulations on your little bump."
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
Now, let's take a little lesson on why we shouldn't just act however we want, because the interviewer, Kirsty, can't have kids, and she said that not being able to have one was devastating. So when Blake hit her back with a condescending and uncalled for response, it completely shocked Kirsty. Honestly, Blake deserved all the backlash she got for this interview alone. She said that Blake's comment hit like a bullet. Her behavior was absolutely despicable. It was such an uncalled for response, because what did the interviewer say that was so bad it garnered that horrid reaction? Mind you, this isn't the first time Blake gets weirdly offended about something pregnancy related. While sitting down for an interview with Seth Meyers, he told her congratulations on your pregnancy, and Blake got offended.
And you have a baby on the way. Congratulations.
What makes you say that?
The shark told me.
You know you don't ever say that to a woman.
You're not supposed to say that to
She tries to laugh it off, saying, "You shouldn't tell that to a woman. But girly, it wasn't a secret that you were pregnant." I get the whole don't comment about a woman's body and don't ask questions about if a woman is pregnant or not based on speculation, but you were literally confirmed pregnant. Why does it always garner such a weird reaction from her? And if it's that huge of a deal, which is fine, Blake should let her publicists and managers tell the interviewers, hey, by the way, no congratulations on your pregnancy comments, Blake doesn't want that, instead of surprising everyone with rude and random offense to a completely normal topic. Anyway, after her reply, Parker goes, what about my little bump?
What about my bump?
Which causes Blake and Parker to just look at each other, ignoring the interviewer and making fun of her bump comment, because then Blake says, well, you have 2 nice ones.
You've got 2 nice ones.
And then Parker looks directly at the interviewer and says with great might, you like the movie? Are you a Woody Allen fan?
You like the movie? Are you a Woody Allen fan?
And it's also done condescendingly right off the bat. It's like, who even are you, Parker? What makes this even more condescending is that Parker is sitting there talking about you like the movie as if the movie isn't made by a very controversial and disgraced producer. Which we will talk about Blake's comments about Woody Allen. I'm not sure what prompted these two to have such an aggressive attitude towards this poor interviewer, because it was like without communicating with each other, they both just decided to be mean and rude. Then she asked them about the set and how they felt about wearing clothes that was typical Hollywood old glamour. Now, Cafe Society, the movie they're promoting, is a movie set in the 1930s, taking place in New York City and California. It's basically about this character, Bobby Dorfman, who leaves New York for the glitz and glamour of 1930s Hollywood and everything that follows up with his move. So it was a completely normal statement to ask them about how it felt to film a movie that has gotten praise for its set design and cinematography. Blake then plays the whole, I wonder if they'll ask the men about the clothes.
But I wonder if they would ask the men about the clothes.
And you can see right off the bat with this interview that Blake was gonna find something to pick at and be rude about. The interviewer says, I would.
I would.
And then for the entire rest of the interview, these two have a conversation mocking the interviewer, and then it ends at that. Honestly, both Blake and Parker shouldn't have become actors if this is how they're going to treat people who are meant to help them promote their movie. If these two fake feminists want to cry about simple questions, then they shouldn't be here to begin with. The funniest part about this whole thing was that years later, in the It Ends With Us promo tour, Blake said that someone on social media called her a crown straightener, which is basically a girl's girl, and she was so honored. Yet I wouldn't call what she did to this interviewer crown straightening.
It was like, someone on social media is calling you a crown straightener. I said, what's that? She said, a woman who goes around straightening other women's crowns. And I was just like, oh, it was just like the best compliment I've ever been given, because I do identify as that.
Another hilarious moment is when she made a whole condescending fuss about the clothing question, yet when it came to promote a movie about domestic violence, the only thing she was interested in talking about was her clothes.
This is Britney's Versace dress, 2002, the butterfly dress, and this dress meant so much to me.
Karma. It really is something, isn't it? Blake was down bad trying to make It Ends With Us the sequel to Margot Robbie's Barbie movie. But hey, maybe Blake, if you didn't get so condescending about a simple question, the dominoes would have worked out in your favor. Also, one thing I hate is when celebrities go on this comparison rant about would you ask this to a man, yet if you were to search up the woman's actions, she hasn't done anything to help women, period. I'm sorry, but is Blake some world-renowned feminist working to help women all around the world and using her voice for good? Or is she just throwing around the would you ask that to a man comment to excuse horrible behavior? Blake suddenly wants to be a feminist for 12.3 seconds, and only for 12.3 seconds. Let us not forget that she then defended working with Woody Allen, saying she appreciates his work and described him as a genius. Blake emphasized the importance of separating the artist from the art, noting that she has enjoyed working with him and believes in the significance of his contributions to cinema. These comments rightfully sparked controversy given the allegations against Woody Allen, leading to discussions about accountability in Hollywood. Blake sat down for another interview with the same person from 2016, this time for her movie A Simple Favor with Anna Kendrick.
Also, a lot of people have been commenting on that I interviewed Blake Lively again in 2018. Why did I do that if I had such a bad experience with her? And the thing is, as a freelancer, this is my livelihood, you know? I couldn't just say, no, I don't want to interview her because she was rude last time I met her. That's not how it works.
And the worst part is, Blake doesn't even remember meeting her before. She told her, nice to meet you.
Oh, love all the jewelry going.
And it's why it's so important for us to hold celebrities accountable for their actions, because while Blake completely forgot about her actions in 2016, the interview said that she had felt extremely embarrassed about the interview for years. Not to mention the fact that Blake didn't give her the basic decency to treat her like a human being, making insensitive comments that later had a deeper meaning. She wants to walk around saying she's a crown straightener and cares about women, yet she had another mean girl moment when she was making fun of Catherine Middleton. Blake seemingly mocked Catherine on Instagram by posting a heavily photoshopped picture of herself, appearing to poke fun at the controversy surrounding a Mother's Day photo of Catherine that was widely believed to have been digitally manipulated, leading to accusations of a Photoshop fail by some media outlets. She was one of the many celebrities poking fun at Catherine for stepping back from the spotlight for personal issues. When Catherine revealed that she'd been diagnosed with cancer and was in treatment, Blake automatically apologized for her silly post and deleted the post. You see, she always has to make a joke at the expense of others. Another moment social media did not like was when Blake was joking about how women don't have pregnancy cravings and it's all a lie.
It's a perfect way to get what you want all the time. If you want chocolate ice cream at midnight, you have a craving.
You're busting out pregnant women everywhere.
No, I'm teasing.
People took this harshly because the same woman making fun of real issues that pregnant women face while being pregnant gets mad when someone congratulates her on her pregnancy. Again, it's only a joke when she's making it, right? Is Blake unlikable to her co-stars and Hollywood peers? Judging by everything social media has dug up, the short answer is going to be yes. The long answer is going to be possibly. Time after time again, Blake is getting side-eyed by her co-stars who look like they're one more annoying joke from snapping in public. We already discussed the multiple times Blake acted rudely toward her co-star Leighton Meester, but that's not the only person Blake annoyed. Let's start with her Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants co-star America Ferrera. This clip went viral all over social media amid the Blake hate train, and it's split between whether or not co-star America was annoyed and rolled her eyes at Blake. In this clip here, you can see Blake is being asked about Gossip Girl, and Blake goes on a tangent talking about the show and new things in the upcoming season. Blake goes on about the show per her usual rambling, and America just looks bored until this moment here, where she makes a funny face per Blake saying the Gossip Girl characters will start dating each other's parents. Seems as if the show The Soup wanted to see the action, as the host even says,
Let the clip run, she strangles her.
It's hard to tell if this is shade or a joke because you really don't know the full picture since what you're working with is just short clips. Some people argue that America was making that face because Blake was saying something funny, while others said that they'd be annoyed too having to sit down and listen to Blake ramble about her show. Another clip went viral, and that was the sassy moments between Anna Kendrick and Blake when they were promoting their movie A Simple Favor.
And thought she seemed nice, and little did I know.
Yeah. How quickly do you...
Don't touch me.
This part really went around, where Anna says she thought Blake was nice, but little does she know, and Blake makes a face and tries to reach her hand towards Anna, who says, "Don't touch me."
Don't touch me.
It's funny because Blake looks completely taken off guard, and there's a slight expression on her face that showcases discomfort. Possibly at the fact that she is now the target of a harsh joke. I can say for sure though that Anna is quick-witted, maybe in a way that Blake wants to be since she has that same Ryan Reynolds quick-thinking humor. Anna is fast with comebacks to Blake, and people also mention that Anna knows how to talk back to Blake, and Blake doesn't like getting a taste of her own medicine. She takes very clever digs at her. She even jokingly laughs at the way Blake is sitting in this clip.
I mean, we're exactly the same type, so yeah,
Anna also calls Blake out for saying she can never be a Disney princess and saying,
I can't be a Disney princess ever.
Oh, Muffin, it's so hard being you.
In this interview, Anna says that she needs to give Blake a pep talk and how basically she tells her she's good enough, and Blake's face is telling in how she's receiving Anna's words because she says that Anna is an egomaniac and she doesn't seem amused.
Constantly have to call Blake and be like, it's okay, you're good at giving interviews, I promise you, people like you, they respect you.
A lot of talking.
Gotta give her a pep talk. I'm like, we're amazing, we're powerful. I mean, I'm the reason she gets out of bed in the morning.
And Anna's just an egomaniac, is he?
There was rumors during A Simple Favors press tour, which was that Anna and Blake hated each other and that they were practically enemies. Their press tours had to be scheduled separately so they wouldn't be around each other as much, and their teams had to tell them that they needed to try and at least pretend they liked each other. The story gained traction when Anna revealed that she once waited an hour for Blake to arrive, unaware that the call time had changed. She told Blake, "That was the day I decided I hated you. We were all talking about you." In another interview, Anna claimed to have muted Blake on social media. While I understand we're all eager to discuss Blake, I wouldn't rush to praise Anna Kendrick just yet. There are troubling reports and rumors suggesting that she has been quite mean and rude to workers, staff, waiters, fans, and crew members. Additionally, she was said to be extremely competitive with Blake during the filming of the movie. All I'm saying is, a real mean girl knows how to handle another mean girl. Social media has highlighted several moments that showcase Blake's mean girl energy, and a particularly notable instance occurred when Blake was seen laughing with Emily Blunt while sitting next to Zendaya, yet she seemingly ignored Zendaya altogether. The ignoring moment got so big that Zendaya tweeted, "I was looking at the runway, y'all messy, that's all." The moment that truly highlighted a co-star's frustration with Blake came during the It Ends With Us press tour. When Blake turned a serious question into a joke, her co-star Brandon Scleener, who plays Atlas, glanced at the camera with an expression that seemed to say, "Can you believe this?" He didn't even try to mask his annoyance. Another moment by Brandon was when he was asked about falling in love with Blake's character and what made it so easy to fall in love on screen, and he says,
I'm just a really good actor, you know? I'm a really good actor. Everything was really challenging.
Blake's even saying, you could tell her. You could say really nice things about me, and he literally just says, I'm a good actor.
I couldn't tell you. I mean, we didn't really talk about it.
You could tell her.
I mean, I could tell you it's...
You could say like really nice things.
I'm just a really good actor, you know?
That moment was a clear indication that Blake's co-stars weren't particularly fond of her. During the It Ends With Us era, it seemed like Blake was overwhelmed by her own popularity, leading to some of her most annoying Mean Girl moments. It was almost as if she basked in the spotlight to the point of sabotaging her own career, a point I made in my previous video about the drama surrounding Blake during this time. Another significant Mean Girl move by Blake during this movie was sidelining Justin Baldoni, who was meant to be the director. Her attempt to take control in an area that wasn't hers to command didn't sit well with anyone. Not only did she overstep, but she also brought her husband and Hugh Jackman to the premiere, positioning them front and center while Justin handled his own press off to the side. It feels like she took the movie from Justin and annoyingly tried to joke her way through the entire thing without taking accountability for her wrongdoings or even stepping back and letting things work out the way they should. It's clear that her behavior annoyed the entire It Ends With Us cast, as she came off as egotistical and attention-seeking, always wanting to be in the spotlight. I also think her being the biggest star in the movie got to her head and allowed her to feel entitled to act however she wanted, simply because of her status. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Blake and Ryan met in 2010 when they were filming the movie Green Lantern. At the time, they were both seeing other people. Blake was dating Gossip Girl co-star Penn Badgley, and Ryan was married to Scarlett Johansson. Now, Ryan and Blake's relationship timeline is a bit fuzzy and kind of scandalous because it treads on the line of was there or was there not cheating involved. In October 2010, Blake and Penn split up after being on again, off again for 3 years, from 2007 to 2010. In December 2010, Ryan and Scarlett announced their divorce after 2 years of marriage, and their divorce was finalized in July 2011. In October 2011, Blake and Ryan sparked dating rumors, with a source saying, "They are very much a couple, they're really happy together." A few months later, the two were spotted spending the holidays together in Ryan's hometown of Vancouver. The following year, in September 2012, Ryan and Blake got married. The reason why people question if there was cheating involved at the start of their relationship has to do with the close timeline between them and their exes. Both of them loved telling the story of how they got together, so much so that even I knew about the story years ago, and I don't even keep up with them like that. They said they met up on a double date and it was super awkward because they both came together with different people, but the fireworks between Blake and Ryan were just too strong. Ryan says, "She was on a date with another guy and I was on a date with another girl, and it was like the most awkward date for the respective parties because we were just like fireworks coming across." In typical Ryan behavior, it's supposed to be funny how he completely dismisses the respective parties because the fireworks between him and Blake was just too strong to ignore. But I actually find him saying that to be mean because it doesn't seem like Blake and Ryan were actually that shocked that they had fireworks between them, and it just seems like they brought along two people on a date just so they can sit and awkwardly watch Ryan and Blake getting it on together. A TikToker talked about this relationship and made a good point, saying that she believes Ryan and Blake both had feelings for each other at the time after their time on Green Lantern, and they did what people sometimes do, which is bring a date along to go hang out with the person they actually like, which isn't nice or fair to the other people on that date. Someone also speculated that the person they each brought was their respective partners, meaning Blake showed up with Penn Badgley and Ryan showed up with Scarlett, and they left the date liking each other's company more. The reason for that was because Ryan says about a year after Green Lantern had come and gone, they were both single and went on a double date. The story must take place in 2011 as the movie was filmed in 2010. Remember, both Ryan and Blake ended their previous relationships at the end of 2010, and it was in 2011 that they officially got together. This timeline suggests that there wasn't much room for them to start a relationship without some overlap with their exes. They also claim to have been super good buddies when the movie was filming, and as we can tell with Hollywood, it's not all that shocking when there's a cheating story involved or lines blurred on the concept of cheating. The media reported that while shooting the film, Blake would invite Ryan to cooking classes with her. To further this, Ryan said, "We were buddies for a long time, which I think is the best way to have a relationship, to start off as friends." Anyway, apparently this started a rumored beef between Blake and Scarlett. Supposedly Scarlett was supposed to star in the movie Gravity, and she was the favored one to play the lead. Blake was filming Green Lantern with Ryan, but was also supposedly auditioning for Gravity too. Once that leaked online, there was a direction change and the movie was given to Sandra Bullock. Pretty crazy for them to give it to Sandra instead, but I can see why filmmakers don't want bad press associated with their films. Thanks to It Ends With Us, I could see that not all press is good press. Bad press does affect the stars and the energy around the film. It was then reported by Us Weekly that Scarlett is pissed that Ryan isn't under her spell anymore, and she realized what a great catch he was. Yeah, this doesn't seem like both Ryan and Blake wrote it themselves. Scarlett and Blake still have tension till this day, since the latest report we got about them was in January 2024, with the sources saying that Blake and Scarlett do everything to avoid each other in New York City. The source spilled to Life and Style magazine and said, Scarlett and Blake do everything to avoid each other on New York's small social scene. Since they both live in New York and attend similar events and red carpets from museums or charities, it's a careful dance to make sure they are not at the same place. Another thing people don't like about Ryan and Blake is the fact that they got married on a plantation. Historically, plantations were large farms in the American colonies that relied on the forced labor of enslaved people to cultivate and harvest goods for trade. This association connects their wedding to a painful chapter in American history, raising concerns about glamorizing sites that symbolized violence against Black people. As a result, plantation weddings have become increasingly controversial, leading to platforms like Pinterest and The Knot to ban images of such events, including Blake and Ryan's wedding. Blake and Ryan got married in 2012 at a South Carolina plantation. They both apologized for holding their wedding there, saying, "What we saw at the time was a wedding venue on Pinterest. What we saw after was a place built upon devastating tragedy." Blake and Ryan got married at Bone Hall Plantation in Mount Pleasant, which features 9 slave cabins referred to as Slave Street. They continued saying, "We're ashamed that in the past we've allowed ourselves to be uninformed about how deeply rooted systematic racism is." The couple wrote on Instagram announcing a $200,000 donation to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund in May, following the death of George Floyd at the hands of Minneapolis police officers. They said, "We want to educate ourselves about other people's experiences and talk to our kids about everything, all of it, especially our own complicity." It's always good to see people apologize for their actions instead of trying to jump around it. When I spoke to some sources in the past about Blake and Ryan, they notably told me that Ryan is very controlling over Blake, and he tends to act like a know-it-all. I received this information about 7 or 8 years ago, and while I'm not sure how wildly known this is since I don't closely follow their lives, I haven't seen anyone address it publicly. Apparently, Ryan did not want Blake to be a working actress with a strict schedule, as he was more worried about her being a stay-at-home mom raising their kids. I remember at the time my source said Blake was miserable during that period and how she couldn't believe she gave up a potentially successful acting career to stay home and maybe do a few interviews here and there. She wanted to do her own thing like Ryan was, but he was very adamant about her being a wife and a mother more than her working. I'm not sure how detailed this got, but I do know that he was very set in his belief about that. My source ended up telling me that Blake would sit at home and dream of the life she used to have before, and she had some feelings of resentment towards him. And it makes sense because after Ryan and Blake got together, she wasn't really seen doing much until a good chunk of time later. I remember thinking to myself at the time, that's true, what did happen to her? Because Gossip Girl was huge and she didn't do anything after that for a while. I remember thinking that that was odd about him, and that when she did The Age of Adeline, I was surprised and thought to myself, I guess he's okay with her working now? Especially because after she finished shooting Gossip Girl, which was in 2011, she didn't do another project for a few years, and her next project was The Age of Adeline in 2015. How do you guys feel about Ryan and Blake's relationship? Can you see a controlling side to Ryan, or are these valid concerns one could have? I also noticed people getting annoyed that Ryan and Blake try so hard to involve each other in their acting careers, and I could see with Deadpool and It Ends With Us why that could start to become annoying for some. Taylor Swift and Blake Lively. Taylor Swift and Blake have been friends for almost a decade now. Their friendship started when Blake posted an Instagram photo and captioned it, "So, turns out this wasn't a video shoot for John Legend's cover of Bad Blood?" Many people thought this was shade and sent Blake hate. She defended her caption with a photo of Ryan's family backstage with Taylor during her 1989 tour, saying, "Whoever thought I was throwing shade doesn't know I have a Taylor Swift Please Be My Wife voodoo doll. Look how rad she is here making my niece Heather feel like a rock star. Love my Canadian family almost as much as I love Taylor Lively." The two ended up hanging out in Australia and have been friends ever since. They attended Taylor's 4th of July party, and you can see in this photo Taylor is posing with then-boyfriend Tom Hiddleston. Throwback to that hilarious PR couple. Their relationship was getting stronger because by November 2017, Blake and Ryan's daughter's voice was featured in Taylor's song Gorgeous. They stayed close since then, with Blake publicly supporting Taylor in most of her career endeavors. Their friendship was pretty low-key, but where we ended up seeing a lot more of them was when Blake would come with Taylor to support Travis Kelce at the Chiefs games. When everything blew up with Blake and It Ends With Us, many people pointed out that they were not surprised that Blake was like this because she was friends with Taylor. One thing I can say about Taylor is that she is usually very pleasant to work with and treats fellow peers with respect. You are not going to be finding videos of Taylor deliberately being mean the way we saw here with Blake. With that being said, Taylor does have a very strong mindset where she could be demanding, entitled, and in control. I wouldn't say Taylor rubbed off on Blake and that's how Blake became an obnoxious bully, but I will say that Taylor expresses her values without apologizing for them, and sometimes her values are wrong. For example, we saw how Taylor Swift treated Olivia Rodrigo when she was threatened by her fame. Olivia went from being Taylor Swiftie baby who made it big, to having Olivia thrown in copyright legal battles, leaving Olivia to give up millions of dollars in revenue for songs like Good For You and Deja Vu. Taylor and her team demanded writing credits for Deja Vu because they argued the bridge of the song sounds like Taylor's Cruel Summer. She also prompted Paramore to get their writing credits because Good For You sounds similar to their song Misery Business. Not only that, but she purposefully chose to have Sabrina Carpenter open for her at the Eras Tour to spite Olivia after she was in a love triangle feud with Sabrina and Joshua Bassett. We have a whole video on that here, so go check it out. It's safe to say that Taylor has a way of taking control of what she wants and won't stop till she gets it. And I think Blake saw that in Taylor and was confident enough in herself to do the same. The entire press tour for It Ends With Us was giving "It's Us Against You" energy to Justin Baldoni, and it was very Taylor-like. For example, when Taylor had a falling out with Katy Perry and gathered up a bunch of celebrities to be in the Bad Blood music video dissing her, it gave "It's Us Against You" energy. Or when her friendship Girl Squad was criticized by other celebrities and media outlets for trying to portray this "Mean Girls of Hollywood, you can't sit with us" vibe. I think being friends with Taylor gives Blake this relevancy kick that she's been wanting since her Gossip Girl times. It makes her feel important and special, and I noticed that she was one of the few friends Taylor involved with her to come to Travis's Chief Games. Being friends with Taylor also came with being friends with Gigi Hadid, and I could see it all getting into Blake's head. I also want to be a powerhouse businesswoman, and I'm producing this big shot movie, and no, I won't listen to the director because I'll think my own opinion is higher than his. Blake had that same sense of entitlement that Taylor Swift also has. Just like we joke about having to thank Beyonce when we're up on stage winning an award, if you're a pop girl hitting it on the scene and about to hit it big, you're suddenly gonna have to have Taylor Swift's stamp of approval. Taylor will easily get threatened, and unfortunately for many pop girls, they won't have the huge debut era success that Olivia had, where she was winning Grammys and breaking records, so it's not often that Taylor will come down strong and heavy, but we can see from this Olivia example how Taylor excuses her own actions based on what she wants to do. Taylor does get nervous because it's an insecurity of hers that she will get older and the younger girls will dominate. She even said this in 2019 before she did a complete 360 with the Eras Tour. Taylor has also gained a reputation as someone who deliberately tries to block pop girls from hitting #1 by releasing multiple versions of the same song and album to keep her charting at #1. This was an issue Billie Eilish had with her, and even low-key shaded artists who release multiple versions of their albums to stay at #1. The same issue happened with Charli XCX with her album Brat getting blocked from #1 because Taylor released UK-only variants of her album The Tortured Poets Department at the last minute, which some say was an attempt to prevent Charli's album Brat from reaching #1. The response both these artists gave Taylor was coming together to make the song Guess that appears to have lyrics shading Taylor's control and her need to know everything about everyone. So I can see a slight impact on Blake's personality after having been friends with Taylor for so long. It's hard to not want to be a successful person when you're hanging out with the person who does it best. But remember folks, there are a lot of skeletons in Taylor's closet, and if it wasn't for the Swiftie Army fanbase she has now, it could easily be Taylor getting these viral videos instead of Blake. Because sure, Taylor is a sweetheart to fans and the people who work for her, and yes, she cares about her friends and her coworkers and she's nice, but behind closed doors, she's a power-hungry person that will stomp and smash, and the way Blake tried to take Justin's movie and turn everyone against him is kinda giving that Taylor entitlement, her watch me do it energy. And this isn't to blame how Blake is acting on Taylor, because I don't really see so much of a correlation between things Blake did 10-15 years ago and suddenly blaming it on Taylor, but you are who you hang out with, and Taylor and Blake have been friends for years, and I'm just saying she might have picked up on some of Taylor's traits that show that she is a powerhouse and gets what she wants. Another great example of Taylor having audacity is when she decided that she was going to re-record all her older songs that she didn't own and make an entire era out of it just to spite Scooter Braun and other people at her previous record label for making legal business moves that happen all the time. I've always said that Taylor can take things extremely personal when something is done to her, but when she does something, she finds all the excuses in the world that it's justified. I still believe the whole issue with Taylor and not owning her own music wasn't necessarily a personal attack, it was just something that happens in business all the time, but I will say that she did bring a lot of attention to it for newer artists. I think Blake saw all the ways Taylor got away with being ruthless and how she managed to keep reinventing herself and staying at the top that she went to this film production with a big head and took such bizarre, egotistical, obnoxious routes. People complained that her personality was very me, and Blake being the biggest name in the movie, having besties like Gigi Hadid and Taylor Swift, and just coming off the high from joint Super Bowl hangouts and headlines, she got humbled real bad. And Taylor Swift was nowhere to be found to pick up those pieces. Even when news leaked that Blake and Ryan were hanging out with Taylor and Travis in late August, just know that I have it in good authority to tell you that Ryan and Blake were behind that coming out, and Taylor Swift does not like someone trying to undermine her and use her name in troubled times. Back in the day, Taylor was so controlling over her image that she needed friends to follow a list of strict rules if they were to be seen with her, that this is how they should act. This was in 2014-2015, and I'm sure she's chilled a bit now, but if there's one thing I know about Taylor, it's that she will pick her image and narrative over anyone else, even if that means she'll become very cold. Anyway, this video was long enough, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. Check out our merch if you want to rock some cool designs, and make sure to tell us your thoughts down below. What do you make out of this whole Blake Lively hate train? And what do you think Blake will do next to try to save her career and image? I think her best bet is just staying silent and laying real low. All that's left to say is that 2024 is the year these celebrities get a wake-up call. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.